Watch what's approaching, the supreme moment. Reality striking closer than it seems, don't it? Go ahead, it's for the taking if you want it. If not, the dream dies and you'll be forever haunted. Then confront it.
What's good? So I did find some time to go through the Legendary Goku battle with the Extreme Z-Awakened Buuhan unit, which I do have at 100% potential, so this is pretty much the stats as of right now at 100% potential. As you saw, I gave this guy level 15 criticals. I did that a while back, and honestly, I think it works out pretty well. Even though he has a much better nuking passive, I think level 15 with critical is nice. Honestly, looking back on it in hindsight, it might be okay to go a little bit higher toward additionals, but I think it all works out just fine with this setup. Now, I also did include the Angel Perfect Cell, which is also a very good unit for this particular battle. And just to cover the overall skill sets for that unit, and we'll go into the Buuhan unit for those that missed it or on global, and it's your first time catching a footage or video of this guy at 100% potential. Let me start off with the Angel Perfect Cell unit. Very solid unit for this type of event. The longer the battle, the better he gets because of the ability to raise defense from the super attack. So the probably best advice if you use this guy is to try and get as much super attacks as possible within the early parts of the battle, because you will be reaping the benefits later on, especially when you're facing like Super Saiyan Blue Goku, Ultra Instinct Goku, both variations of it is going to come in pretty handy. Again, he also does have a nuking passive with attack increase of 15% and defense increase of 5% for every key collected. It's not really going to make that much of a difference. My point of including this guy is really just for defensive purposes for later down the road against the last parts of the battle, basically. Because, believe it or not, this guy will be able to tank pretty well. Okay, and back to the Majin Buu unit, or Buuhan unit. Again, for those that missed out on the information covered with the Extreme Z-Awakened, let me just cover it real fast. I'm not going to cover the leader skill's super attack, causes immense damage to enemy, and also lowers attack and defense. The Super Ghost Kamikaze attack will cause immense damage with a little bit greater power, and then lowers attack and defense as well. The passive skill is going to be, let me check this real fast. Okay, correction, that was prior to the EZA. So after the EZA, the super attack, the Vice Shout is going to cause immense damage to enemy and greatly lowers attack and defense, so definitely an upgrade there. Also, the Super Ghost Kamikaze attack does have a 30% chance of pulling that off. That'll cause immense damage to enemy with greater power and also greatly lowers attack and defense. Now for the passive skill, it's definitely improved quite a bit, and you'll understand why. Attack increase of 17%, defense increase of 10%, and recovers 10,000 HP per key sphere obtained. Recovers 15% HP when delivering the final blow. So, a couple of variations with that. So, the biggest benefit with this guy is the ability to recover 10,000 HP per key collected. I mean, that is going to add to quite a bit. Now, if you're fortunate enough to be able to obtain a lot of ki, along with the ability to recover a bunch of HP, pretty much, you're also going to be able to attack for a pretty good overall damage output. I've seen upwards of 3 million plus, depending on how much ki you collect. Also, the benefit with that is if you're able to KO the enemy, you do recover 15% HP when delivering the final blow. So a lot of ways to recover HP. And defense-wise, you do get a 10% increase, yes, but at the same time, he's still a little bit of a defensive liability, especially in the later parts of the battle. Alright, in terms of links, I'm not really going to cover it. You already saw the stats and whatnot. The other thing to note is the transforming Buu units, which are pretty much the leaders. It's really difficult to do this, but I tried to pretty much get the Buccolo unit or the Piccolo absorbed Buu unit. That is when you get HP levels of, 59% or below after 5 turns. And in a battle like this, it's a little bit difficult to get both of them to transform to that version. Chances are you're going to have either the Gotenks absorbed version or the Ultimate Gohan absorbed version. So ideally you want both of those to be changed or transformed into the Piccolo absorbed version because, one, I mean, it's going to help out defensively to the overall team. And I'm actually looking it up right now, but you do get recovery of 15% HP, and then also, I think it was like 30% to defensive boost to allies or something like that. So let me actually double check this information, and I'll be able to get this completely accurate for you. So after transforming to the Piccolo Absorb version, the passive skill does change to 15% HP recovery at the start of turn, and then attack and defense increase of 100%. All allies key +3 and defense increase of 30%. So you're able to provide a key boost, defensive boost, 15% HP recovery, along with an attack and defense increase of 100%. So it does help out quite a bit. Again, it all depends on rotations and when Goku decides to super on whoever. So sometimes you're not going to get lucky. So in most cases, you are going to probably end up with the Gotenks version or the Ultimate Gohan version. So the Gotenks version at least does provide some levels of HP recovery. It's 8%, attack increase of 120%, and defense increase of 100%, and then plus an additional attack increase of 30% when the target enemy is in attack down status. Keep in mind, you're not going to see that secondary passive because Goku, once you get to, I think, the Super Saiyan God status, you won't be able to decrease his attack. So unfortunately, that's not really going to apply. And that's why, again, I say the Piccolo Absorb version is much better in terms of this specific battle itself. Now, chances are most likely you're going to end up with the Ultimate Gohan version. So it's a 10% recovery to HP, which isn't bad. It's actually pretty good. It's definitely better than the Gotenks version, and then attack and defense increase of 120%. Like I said, the best case scenario would probably be the Piccolo Absorb because along with the highest HP recovery at every turn, you do get to provide allies with +3 key and defense increase of 30%. Again, in this type of setting, especially against like Ultra Instinct Goku, you're going to need all the help you can get, and that's pretty much the reason why ideally I would like to go with that. But in this case, it is both the Ultimate Gohan Absorb version and through a couple of trials and errors, of testing this out, chances are pretty high. And now you can force it to happen, and I've definitely done that to where both of them are, the Piccolo version. But really, it depends, like I said, on when Goku attacks and who he decides to super on. So at the end of the day, it's more or less it's controllable to a certain degree, but it's not really completely down to you, I guess. A lot of it's down to RNG, I guess, because you do have to do that. You have to make sure you do that before the 5th turn, otherwise whatever it is, it's going to transform. So that's pretty much I know I kind of went on a tangent about it, but it's a little bit important, so I did want to brush up on that. So at this point, the Angel Perfect Cell, I can't remember how often he super attacked up to this point, but you definitely do want to continue to stack the defensive increase based on the super attack. Just to give you some more color on my 100% version, I gave him level 14 additional attacks and level 12 criticals. A little bit more focused toward additional attack, obviously, for the defensive stacking ability. Kid Buu obviously is on there because of a couple of reasons. One, the great passive skill of providing 50% or 30%, depending on the HP levels, to allies for attack and defense. And then, of course, against the final Ultra Instinct Goku, which is the intelligence type, he will have type advantage, so I kind of threw him in there. Now, there's definitely other units you could possibly include as a replacement because Kid Buu will take some damage, even at the early parts of the battle. So, for me, it seems to be the best pick within my deck, but obviously it can be different for anybody, So for the most part on this run, I did keep Janemba and the Buuhan unit together, linked up together. I don't know, it just kind of made things a little bit easier for me when I was running through it, so that's kind of, the game plan I stuck with. Now, if I had the Piccolo Absorbed, or Buccolo, I guess we'll call him, I would definitely link him up with Janemba just to guarantee that Janemba gets the super attack every time. Because you do have both, you pretty much have two units that are intelligence type units, so at times you're going to be, at a dilemma of who to give the key to and who not to, you know. So that's kind of the dilemma, keeping these guys on the same rotation. But again, for this particular run, I just decided to keep them together. Just kind of, I don't know, made things a little bit easier for me. So this is one of those scenarios where you do have to kind of decide who gets what. Fortunately, everybody's able to collect enough keys, so you know sometimes you just kind of have to take a step back and think about it a little bit before you make decisions. I say that, but I definitely made some mistakes throughout this one, and you know, nobody's perfect, so I'm sure people catch, like, you know, slip-ups here and there, but when you're going through something like this, yeah, it's kind of hard to be flawless, you know. Mistakes are definitely prone to happen. So we did make it to the Super Saiyan God Goku, and we're about to beat him right here and move on to the Super Saiyan Blue. Which reminds me, so my approach is, and for those that watch previous videos, it's a pretty similar concept. I try not to use any items until I get past the Super Saiyan Blue Goku. So once I get to the first stage of the Ultra Instinct Goku unit, that's when I actually start using the items. Otherwise, you know, if you use it beforehand, you're going to end up being a little bit short. So just to be on the safer side, I try to hold out on using items as much as possible until I get past this guy right here. And yeah, Janemba definitely helps out quite a bit. I mean, this guy can deal a lot of damage, has the ability to dodge attacks, guard effectively against all types. You know, it's crazy. I mean, once the guard is activated, he gets a substantial increase toward attack as well. So overall, I think, you know, this guy's one of the best you know, packages overall in the game as a unit. Personally, I think he's the best at EZA, hands down. And I'm surprised Global still hasn't got him. I thought, you know, Global players would get him by now because he's such a great unit. I mean, he completely made the strength version obsolete. Like, honestly, I've never even ran the strength version in a long time, unless it's like Battlefield or something like that. So that's how much of a difference it really makes. Okay, so Golden Frieza, obviously with the EZA, became much better. Well, even better than he already was is probably the right way to say it, because he was already great. But now that the EZA happened, you know, he's still going to be able to defend pretty good. So you still get a 50% damage reduction even when HP is 50% or below. So in the past, you weren't able to get that, so it definitely does help out a lot. When HP is above that, you can pretty much expect them to tank pretty much anything. Alright, so we are slowly chipping away, and it's a matter of, you know, just running through it and trying to get as much damage as possible. Hopefully, Super Saiyan Blue Goku doesn't super attack against the Buuhan unit. With Janemba, that'd be great. And then you saw how much an HP recovery you can get out of the Buuhan unit, so it does make quite a difference, and it makes things a lot easier. I'm pretty sure for the Janemba, which I have at 100%, I gave him level 6 additional attack and level 15 critical. Same approach to the Buuhan unit, and it works out very well. So luckily he did attack Janemba there. And yeah, 3.5 million attack stats with the Buuhan unit, so he's very solid if you're able to get enough ki. Even if you only get a couple, you can probably get like 1.2, 1.3 million, and that is a hell of a difference, because prior to the EZA, that Buuhan's best attack stat that I saw so far tested was like 700 something, you know, 700,000, around that region. So yeah, you're talking about literally 500,000 at the minimum increase to attack stats, so it does make quite a bit of a difference. Alright, so we are getting through this relatively well, and we'll see what happens here. And Perfect Cell is defending pretty well. Didn't mean to rhyme there, I guess, but whatever. It's late, it's a Friday night, I'm chilling. I'm in relaxation mode right now. Alright, so it is going to take another turn probably. Which is fine, because Perfect Cell will have type advantage against the Ultra Instinct Goku first part, which is the strength type. Well, I guess not, because Buuhan decided to do an additional super. Okay, this is when things get a little bit difficult. Well, I say a little bit as that's definitely an understatement. It gets a hell of a lot difficult. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Whis item, reduce damage by 40% right off the gate. Anything can happen. A super attack from Goku can literally annihilate the whole team, especially if it's against both variations of Buuhan. Like, they really can't defend that well. In some cases they can, in some cases they can't. That's probably the best way to put it. And the other thing too is you just have to like slowly reduce this defense down, just drop it down to the point where you're able to put out a decent amount of damage. And then we'll see, yeah, I mean 222,000, and that was, you know, after the Whis items was spent, so pretty much without it I would have been dead already. So that's why it's important to, you know, save the items until you get to this point, because if you use it too early, you're going to run out of items and you're not going to be able to make it very far past this. So in this case, we do have to use an item. We, like, honestly, yeah, it wouldn't have worked. I mean, Kid Buu would have gotten destroyed. And honestly, looking back on this now, I should have put Angel Perfect Cell in the first slot. Because even though, you know, the damage reduction item was used, you know, it's almost like you gotta wait another like 2 rotations until Angel Perfect Cell comes back. And of course he has type advantage and does have the ability to tank, so it's, in some regards, it's better to have him than the Golden Frieza unit. This part definitely does seem to take a very long time. I don't know, for me, it seemed like it took a while. Alright, so a lot of attacks incoming here. Just have to figure out what to do. And then at least we do have Dokkan mode, so we'll be able to kind of take down his HP a little bit more. I thought about using an item here, but since, you know, they have full HP, I decided to take the risk, even though, you know, a lot of attacks are coming against the Strength Buuhan unit, and Buuhan could potentially take a lot of damage, but you really have to, like, sometimes take a gambit and not use an item, otherwise you're just going to simply run out. If you're too cautious, you're going to run out, so, you know, sometimes you got to take chances. The other good thing is after the Dokkan mode, you know, you always do recover some levels of HP, so even though we're taking a lot of damage here, we'll be able to recover. If they survive, we'll be able to recover a pretty good amount of HP into the next rotation. So quite helpful. Took about 21,000 in damage, so that definitely does help out a lot. And then the HP gauge went back up. And of course, Golden Frieza, we're going to put him in the very first slot. And then here's that risk right here, right? Do you want to go with the super attack, allow for Golden Frieza to get the super attack, or not even risk it because Kid Buu will take a ton of damage? If you're not careful, he'll take like 200,000 in damage easily. So you do have to be careful with that. So in that regard, you do have to put in the Buuhan unit in the third slot. So again, a lot of difficult decisions have to be made, I guess. At least this Kid Buu unit does decrease defense, so that does help to some degree. And I think he has level 11 additional attack, level 15 criticals. I think that's the setup for him. So in this sense, we'll go ahead and put Janemba in the second slot. That way, at least Buuhan can link up with him, and Janemba also does have a chance to dodge, so it's okay. It's, you know, I thought about putting Cell in the second slot, but I think it's okay in this sense because Janemba is still a great defensive unit. Surprisingly, Goku isn't dodging that much, which I'm fortunate about, obviously, but you know, in the past runs, Goku would seem to dodge a lot. I say that, and there he goes. You know what I mean? So back to back. Okay, so he didn't dodge the second time, fortunately. This is one of those situations you're like, what do? You know, use an item or not? I mean, we still do have plenty left over right now, but it can easily be depleted, if you know what I mean. And looking back on this, so the reason why I put Kid Buu right there in the second slot is the next battle is going to be against the intelligence type, so just kind of planning ahead in case, you know, Janemba and whoever's on the next rotation is able to finish Goku off, you know, instead of having the strength Buu unit in the rotation, it'd be better to have the physical version. But as you can see right here, I'm not quite sure if we'll be able to finish this in this rotation. It might actually take another one to get through it. So sometimes decisions like that, planning ahead, doesn't pay off. I mean, you could sometimes run into the problem of planning too far in advance and you end up screwing yourself. We'll see how much damage Janemba is able to chip away from Goku. Not enough. And Cell could have probably gotten enough ki to get a super attack against Goku, but you know, honestly, he doesn't do that much in damage. You know, the best he can do is probably like 500,000, and that's on a pretty optimistic scenario. So, like I said in the beginning, he's more of a defensive unit. That's really the main reason of including him. But that could have make or break surviving, you know, or actually killing Goku in that rotation. I don't know. We'll never know. But at least this will allow for some HP, a little bit more HP recovery from Buuhan. And, you know, that's pretty much how it is there. I don't know what I was thinking right here, but because the obvious choice would have been to put Golden Frieza in the beginning. I don't know what the hell I was thinking here. That was a terrible decision because HP just completely got shot up. So that was definitely a mistake. That was definitely a mistake. But I'm not quite sure if Golden Frieza would have had enough to be able to KO, well, not Golden Frieza, but Buuhan unit. He might have not had enough to KO Goku, and Buuhan would have ended up taking the super attack. So who knows what would have happened. Okay, so this is the last portion against the final Ultra Instinct Goku, and it seems like once you get to this point, it's like, god damn, is it over yet? You know, so this is when things get very difficult and a little bit nerve-wracking, I guess, because you are going to start running into a shortage of items, and then on top of that, you have to worry about you know, who ought to place in certain rotations. I mean, one shot could easily kill the entire team. But fortunately, in this case, Goku did super attack against Janemba. And even if he doesn't dodge, he's okay, but as you saw there, he takes a lot of damage. Like 113,000 is still a lot. So imagine if it was anybody else, you know? I think Angel Perfect Cell could probably defend a super attack pretty decent at this point. It might be similar region of like 100,000, maybe less, maybe like 60 or 70k, but either way, whoever gets supered on, and you're not using any items, excluding Golden Frieza, obviously, with the full, you know, defensive damage reduction. I mean, everybody else is going to take a pretty decent amount of damage. And you've got, I mean, Goku has so many health bars. I'm looking at it, what is it, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 health bars, and you have to chip away one at a time. I mean, it takes like, I don't know, 2 or 3 super attacks just to get 1 HP bar down. So it definitely is very difficult for this team. It can be difficult. I mean, honestly, I wish I had more dupes on the transforming Buu units, and if I had a friend that had like a rainbowed version, I think it would have been a lot easier. Yeah, so even with Golden Frieza, it took about, what, 70,000 in damage? So, yeah, it's a lot. And yeah, like close to 100,000 just from that alone. And Strength Buu was a little bit better. So, that's the thing about the Intelligence Buuhan unit. He is very good, but defensively, he's still a liability. And that's a problem. But nothing's perfect. I think they probably scaled back a little bit because of Janemba's EZA. I mean, Janemba's EZA is extremely good. So it's kind of, I'm guessing it's utilized probably as a base point of, you know, how if they need to dial it down or whatever, you know, for new units that need an EZA. So I don't know. I don't know if that has any correlation to it, but I feel like it does to a certain degree. So yeah, Angel Perfect Cell is pretty good defense-wise. That's definitely for sure. It's crazy to think about. Only 2 HP bars were taken off so far. Yeah, it's definitely difficult. We definitely need to use another damage reducing item because Buuhan is going to be taking a lot of damage, unfortunately. So honestly, I should probably put the strength version in the second slot and just kind of use the EZA Buuhan as kind of a floater, but it just helps, you know, when you're able to recover HP every other round. I mean, it just makes survivability a little bit more realistic because you're a little bit less reliant on items, you know, in terms of recovering, so you can kind of hold a couple of them to reserve if need be. But you know, it's certainly a little bit difficult, and we'll see how much damage we take here. Yeah, 245,000. I mean, that's pretty much almost all of your HP to some degree, like good 60 to 70%. And that's with the damage reduction item. So again, it's pretty difficult. So in this case, you know, it's like, what do you do here, right? Do you not use an item? Do you use an item? What do you do, right? We gotta go for it, because otherwise, if you use too many items too quickly, you're pretty much gonna get demolished. And at least for the Strength Buuhan unit, he can defend relatively well because of the 120% defensive increase as part of the passive. So hopefully Goku doesn't decide to super attack and we're actually able to survive it. Because I think overall HP is 242,000. Alright, what's happening here? A lot of attacks coming from all sorts of places. So, after this, only one item left. Yeah, this is when things get difficult. So it's like, who do you prioritize the, you know, super attack? And looking back on this, I think it would have been better, probably. I mean, you do recover HP with Buuhan, but I think it would have been better to put the Kid Buu in the second slot because we are running so low on items. But, you know, fortunately, we do have a Dokkan mode attack coming up next round, and then Golden Frieza is able to reduce the defense down a little bit. But, I mean, still a lot of HP to work with, you know? Like, Goku still has a ton left over, like a little over 5 HP bars left over, so still a long ways to go, and the fact that we only have one item kind of scares me a little bit. So probably could have kept that one in reserve for the next rotation, extended it by 1 turn, you know, at least for the damage reduction item. And, you know, we do have full HP, but again, you know, it really just comes down to Goku just simply has the ability to really KO the team based on 1 super attack. I mean, if you know, the Buuhan units get hit, it could potentially be a wrap, you know what I mean? So just a matter of how much reduction to HP we can get here from this guy. So about 1.5 million. Not enough. A little bit more would have been nice, but you know, what can you do? Buuhan would have been nice if he had the ability to lower defense. I think that would have been much more a viable option, but you know, it is what it is. Oh, and here comes a super attack. Let's see what happens to HP. Yeah, 327,000. Yeah. Imagine without the item. I'm telling you, like, sometimes you just have to use them. We're out of items, so like, you know, it's like shit out of luck. Angel's Perfect Cell has to go up front. He's probably got the best chance to defend, but I don't even know how much HP we're going to be able to recover here. Like 27,000 or 276,000. I mean, we'll see if that's any good, but of course he dodges too. And yeah, I think that's a wrap. Unless he dodges, we're done.